This is the video tutorial for the Happy Days SUZIE strawberry foldaway bag. It's kept in its own little pouch ready for when you need it, and it simply pulls away by using the cord and unravels. And it's ready for when you need it when you're shopping. And this is how we make it. And this is what you'll need. Fabric for the main bag, fabric for the pockets, fabric for the channeling, fabric for the handle, some cord and a cord stopper. And this is how you make it. We'll start by making the handle. I'm using a sample piece just for demonstration purposes, but obviously your handle will be much longer. Take your handle fabric and place it pretty sides down so you're looking at the back of the fabric. Fold in half, matching up the raw edges, and take it over to your iron and press. I've pressed it. Now open up, and using the line that's been pressed in the centre, take this edge and place it on that line, and do the same for this side. And then take it over to your iron and press. I'll press the two sides to the centre crease, and now I'm folding over and I'm going to add a few clips just to keep it all together. As I said before, your handles will be a lot longer than this. Place some clips in, and now I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and I'm going to top stitch both sides of the strap, so all the way along the open side and along the other side. Once you've top stitched, your handles are completed, and we're going to put those to one side. We'll start by making the channeling. Take one of your channeling pieces and place pretty side down so you're looking at the back of your fabric. Measure 1 centimetre from the edge, fold over, take it over to your iron and press. Then fold over another centimetre and once again press. I've pressed it and I've added a couple of clips, or you could use pins, whichever you're happy using, and I'm going to now go and do the same for this end. Next I'm going to take it over the sewing machine and I'm going to sew all along this edge on both sides. I've sewn along this side and along this side, and with your fabric with the pretty side down, again you're looking at the back, fold your channeling in half lengthways, ensuring that the sides and the bottom match, and then take it over to your iron and make a nice sharp crease. I've made a nice sharp crease on the long side, and now I'm going to take this side over to this side, and this is to determine the centre. You can finger press, or you can take it back over to your iron whichever you feel more comfortable doing. I've done the same for both. Nice sharp crease to determine the centre. And now we're going to work on the triangle piece of fabric we cut out. Next, take your pocket piece and with the longest edge at the top, fold in half. And again, you can either finger press or take it over to your iron. Open out. And then take your channeling that you've just made and place it with the raw edge along the raw edge of the longest side of the triangle, and use the crease lines to determine the centre again. So we want the crease lines on the channeling and the crease lines on the front of the pocket to match up. We want all these raw edges to line up, and then add a couple of clips or pins, whichever you prefer. Next, using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, starting at the edge of your channeling, sew all the way along and stop. If you do a few backwards stitches as well, just to give it a bit more strength. I've sewn using a 1/4 inch seam allowance along, and now I'm going to open it out and press. I've done the same for both, and now going to place them on the main bag. Place your pocket on the left hand side of your first piece of fabric. Line up the bottom edge and the side edge, and then place a few pins all the way along. I'll pop some pins in, and I've also added a few clips along the side and the bottom just to hold it in place. Next, I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and using an 1/8 inch seam allowance, starting at this corner, sew all the way along to the very end and stop. Then I'm going to sew quite close to the edge. These are just holding stitches all along the bottom and then back up the side. You won't see these stitches in the final make. I've sewn all the way across, and I've also tacked quite close to the edge along each of the sides. I've done exactly the same for the other side, except this pocket goes on the right hand side, so it's a mirror image of this one. That's very important. This bag is sewn using the French seam method, so that's what we're going to start now. So take one of your front fabrics and fold over, then take the other one and place it on top and line up all the edges and all the sides. So you'll be looking at the pretty side, and you'll be looking at the pretty side here, and in here is the back of the fabric. Once you've lined them all up, pop a few clips in. At this stage, you can double check you put your pockets on right, so both pockets should be together on the same side once it's like this. I've clipped all the way around, And now I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to be using an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance on here, a little bit narrower than we normally do. Starting at the top, sew all the way down to the bottom. Remember, you're sewing over quite a lot of fabric here, and then across the bottom, and then all the way back up and stop. I've sewn all the way around using an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and now I'm going to turn it inside out. I've turned it the wrong way around, so we're looking at the back of the fabric, and I'm going to roll with my fingers this seam all the way down, so the seam that we've made is all neat. And then when you've got it like that, press it. I've rolled out all the seams and I've pressed, and I've also added clips all the way around. I'm now going to take it over to the sewing machine and use a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance this time. Start at the top and sew all the way down to the bottom and stop. Across the bottom and stop, and then back up here and stop. I've sewn all the way around. Now, leaving your bag this way around, I'm going to turn over the top 1 centimetre. You need to do this on your ironing board, so turn it over 1 centimetre and press, and then turn it over again 2 centimetres and press and add some pins. I've folded over the top 1 centimetre and then another 2 centimetres and pressed. I've added a few pins, and I've also found the centre of the bag. I found the centre by folding the bag in half, but you could measure it if you want to. And I've made a mark along. Next, measure 7 centimetres from this line and mark, and 7 centimetres again from this line and mark. We're now going to attach the handles. Place your handle with the inner edge underneath that line, so it sort of goes underneath where you've pressed, and do the same for this side, so it goes underneath, so the inner edge goes on that line, and add some pins. Make sure when you put the handle in, it's pushed right to the very top before you put the pin in. Next, we're going to turn it over and attach the handles in the same way on the other side. I've attached the handles with pins on the one side, and I've attached them on the other side by lining them up with the ones on the front. It's a bit of a fiddle, but it's important that they both match up. Now, once you've got your handles pinned into place, you've got to fold them back on themselves. So flip them over and carefully remove the pin, and then add the pin again. So it looks like that. So once again, flip it over, pull it up, take your pin out and re-add your pin. Then do the same to the handles on the other side. Next, we've got to take it to the sewing machine and sew all the way around the bag all the way around on this bottom edge, and this will seal part of the handle, the bottom of the handle, all the way around. Make sure you're only sewing through the one side. I've sewn all the way around, remembering not to join the two sides together. And the next bit of sewing is to form a box at the top of the handle. So simply sew a box shape all the way around the bottom of your handle. Go really slowly at this stage if you've not done one before. It can be a bit fiddly. And then when you've done one, do the next one. As another hint is, ensure that your handle is straight and not like that, straight. You might want to add a pin again, it's up to you. And then when you've done that one, do the other one and the other one. I've sewn my box shape on each of my handles, and now I'm going to turn my bag the right way out. I've turned the bag the right way out, and all that's left now is to add the cord. I've added a safety pin to the end of my cord, and I'm going to start this side threading it all the way through. Then I'm going to turn my bag over and continue up the other side. Turn over. And it should end up looking like this. I've threaded the cord along one side and round up the other. I've added a toggle and I've tied a knot. There's no right or wrong way to do the next part, but I like to tuck my handles in out of the way first of all, pull apart my channels and then push everything inside and then pull the toggle to close it all up.